And now, here's Rob Dibble.
Some amazing baseball just to stay alive by the Milwaukee Brewers. Royals took care of business. Orioles have now lost, I think, 10 in a row home in the postseason going back to the 90s. They just cannot get a win at home. Astros, they're golfing now.
Bye-bye.
Tigers take care of business. A.J. Hinch, revenge of being thrown out of Houston. He comes back with a makeshift Tigers team that nobody, including us, thought they could make the postseason. They did. They're a fantastic team. They play very well together. 5-2 is the final there. Not a lot of runs scored in the Orioles game. Royals had 3 runs scored. Orioles scored 1 in 2 games, and they go down. Mets now. They're holding on to hope, if you're a Mets fan, that they can get by the Brewers and move on to the next level. And the Padres in the late game that I stayed up very late to watch.
I can't believe you did that.
Padres hold off the Braves 5-4.
Great game, though.
Yeah, great game. And Herm Edwards, who I had texted, he called me during that game after midnight to say he could come on the show.
Is he watching that game?
He was watching the game, so he will be on at 3:25.
Oh, yeah.
Huge baseball fan, by the way. So we will talk to Herm Edwards, ESPN NFL analyst, former player in the NFL. We'll talk everything NFL with him today. But back to the baseball. I mean, listen, you got to have a strong bullpen. You got to have guys that can come off the bench and give you huge hits. And a lot of these teams that are moving on did just that. I mean, the Royals got a huge pinch hit. The other night, the Tigers got a huge pinch hit yesterday, a 3-run triple by a guy in their game, and that was the difference in the ball game. And the same thing with the Padres and the Braves. Braves were getting great production off of guys who didn't start the game but came in later and got them back into that game. But the Padres hold them off 5-4, and they move on to face the Dodgers. So the Padres, hey, thanks for beating the Braves. You get to play the Dodgers in the next round.
Well, I honestly think they wanted that. I think this team wants this challenge.
Want to be the best, you beat the best.
If you're a baseball fan, you got to know about this rivalry. You got to love this rivalry. I know it's not Dodgers-Giants. That's a little bit more. But in the last, I'd say, decade, with the moves that both these teams have made, they've been trying to outdo each other in the the NL West. And the Padres are hot right now. And from what we have heard, like, leave Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman out of this conversation, but from our baseball people, the away stats and the playoff stats are not favoring Mr. Shohei. But, man, if you want to go lean on that, be my guest. I can't wait until the series gets on because it's just Shohei and seeing what he can do with a really good team for the first time in the playoffs. But that's going to be a dynamite series. Heck, we still got one more game, man.
Yep.
Mets-Brewers tonight.
Mets-Brewers tonight for all the marbles to move on. And the big thing going back to Shohei's been throwing bullpens.
Yeah.
It came out yesterday. He's not going to pitch in the playoffs, which obviously is huge. But I was on a radio show in L.A. a couple days ago after Pete passed, and they were talking about how many injuries they've had in their starting rotation. They were trying to get Shohei ready because they're so thin in their starting rotation, and they're not sure who they're going to be able to start. So I just think it's huge right now how well the Padres, best team in baseball since the All-Star break, and they're feeling it. They're feeling it last night, beat a very good Braves team. And I'll tell you what, I really have come to like Manny Machado. I listened to his post-game remarks. Everything was about the Braves. Everything was about the Braves. Braves played hard, Monday series against the Mets, had to jump on a plane, come here. They gave us everything they could. They fought us hard, and we came out and we persevered. But everything he said was glowing about his opponent. And I just felt, a few years ago, this guy was one of the most, annoying younger players in the major leagues. Now he is one of the better veteran players on the Padres. He's a leader, and he's called out Tatis Jr. He's tried to get these younger players to understand and respect the game because I think it took him a while to understand that that's what baseball is all about, respecting your opponent. And I thought that was very cool of him in his post-game remarks.
I'm turned a corner on Tatis Jr. as well. I saw some footage of him with some amputee kids that are big fans of his. He had no idea they were missing legs or a limb, and then he spent a couple hours with them before he realized the things that they were dealing with in their life. And it was almost like an epiphany for this guy where, you know what? I'm taking this for granted. I need to be a better baseball player and a better pro. Right. And man, he has turned a great corner in his game as well. 3 for 3 last night. He had the big home run in game 1. I think the Padres are hot. I like their rotation more than I like the Dodgers. To me, this is like the flashy series in the DS, the flashy division series with the glitz and glam of both of these rosters, LA, West Coast. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, man. And here's the other thing. I love the 3-game. I think the sense of urgency to get to this point was definitely heightened in the last 2 games, and obviously all hands on deck for the 2 teams tonight trying to make it to the division series. But then the 5-gamer here coming up this weekend and next week, man, it's cutthroat baseball that I love in the college game, that you're used to in the youth game. And now when we get it here in Major League Baseball, the best of the best, like the drama in the Brewers-Mets game, when that home run was hit, the whole place just jumped out of the building in Milwaukee.
Because they were dead. They were dead in the water. It looked like the Mets were just going to come in and take 2 and leave, and now they can't.
In the Houston-Detroit series, I mean, the drama there, like to water it down with the 7-gamer like the NBA does, or even the length of the NHL playoffs.
The sense of urgency, I think, makes it more exciting.
So true.
The one game is ridiculous for the length of the season.
I'm with you on that.
But this 2 out of 3 is cool. I wanted to get back to the Padres and the Braves a little bit. Mike Schilt.
I'm glad you're bringing this up. Yeah.
Mike Schilt was basically shown the door. He hated analytics in St. Louis. He didn't like what they were doing with the St. Louis Cardinals and the front office, so they fired him, and they went in a different direction. Marmol, they've been a disaster since. He takes over the San Diego Padres in the midst of the Tatis Jr. drama. Bringing in and getting rid of guys, that they paid a ton of money. They went in a different direction and didn't decide to give $500 million to Juan Soto. And this team makes the postseason after the All-Star break where they were, I think, 2 games over 500. So give a lot of credit to that coaching staff. You see how resilient the Padres have been. Tough division, 93 wins on the season. I mean, listen, it's not easy to manage today's players because you've got, I think they're inundated with too much numbers. Like you said, it's math class. It's not gym class. And these guys, they're okay, I got to analyze this. I got to analyze this. Give me a tablet. It's like, no, sometimes you just got to play baseball. You got to go out there and play baseball. And I think that Mike Schilt is one of those managers, not to say that Snetger from the Braves, he's excellent. Right. Their whole staff are former big leaguers. That's what it's not we have to get back to that, but we have to get back to competing and playing a game. And I think that the Detroit Tigers under A.J. Hinch got back to basics, started playing baseball. These guys, they benched Javi Baez, the guy that got the most money, the biggest contract, and they were like, listen, you're not going to help us. You're going to sit the bench. We're going to go with these younger guys. They let Torkelson struggle. He finally, started to hit a little bit. And then you bring in these other young pitchers, and they've been magnificent. And that's the thing, man. It's just you got to find the right group of guys that want to play baseball and grind out these games. And right now you've got 2 teams. The Royals, who lost 106 games last year, are moving on to the division series against the Yankees. You look at the Detroit Tigers, dead. Padres, dead. And in 2 months' time, come back and make the postseason and now are moving on.
Another thing on Schilt, I think, too, like the merge of ownership allowing him to do what he wants to do, plus the players allowing him to get back to those kind of baseball things. I think that this roster and that coach are a perfect marriage for those kind of things. Speak on Max Fried. He had a horrible 2 innings. He gave up the 5 runs. That was all that was needed in that game, and then they moved him out and went to the bullpen.
They even got Musgrove out of there early on the Padres side, who wasn't that bad.
And Schilt had to make inning after inning decisions. Right. The Padres had to make a decision almost every single 25 pitches or 3 batters, I guess, for the rule. But Max Fried, I was expecting a lot more from him than what they saw in game 2.
Listen, Max Fried at this point in the season, like Chris Sale's, probably out of gas. And that's a shame because some of these guys, again, they're not built to throw 200-plus innings anymore. They're built to throw 175 and make 34 starts. I mean, it's you're. I don't know if you're building better pitchers or you're it's basically like NASCAR where you've got a restrictor plate on. You're restricting these guys from pushing their limits. Then they get into a game against one of the best teams in baseball, and that team, man, they were lighting him up. And when you watch the Padres and you watch some of these teams, they've got guys like Arise. Machado, Tatis, good contact guys that put the ball in play and play. Not just, I hate the term small ball. It's not small ball. It's baseball. It's putting the ball in play and putting pressure on the defense, and they do a very good job with their team speed. Arise was a perfect guy to get because any of these guys that may have been struggling in the first half of the season, when Arise gets to the Padres, if you watch this guy, and I tell all of my younger players I coach, watch how he dedicates himself in the cage. He has his head down. He just sits on the tee and hits with his head down and doesn't even look up to where it's going. That's a golf drill. Golf is about keeping your head down and watching the ball and not watching the flight.
Right.
If you start watching flight as a baseball hitter, you're going to struggle sometimes. And when you're struggling, you're going to wonder why your head's moving around. He keeps his head still. And I think he's had a really good effect on that team. So they didn't strike out an awful lot in this series. Braves don't strike out an awful lot in this series. But they really put pressure on the defense, and they made some mistakes on the Braves side.
So Padres move on. They take on the Dodgers, awaiting that division series. Everything gets started on, was it Saturday? All game Saturday.
Yeah,
so we got the day off tomorrow for the Mets and the Brewers to figure it out tonight and then have a little moving day. And then
you got Tigers, Guardians.
Oh, that series right there, baby. I mean, that's blue collar. Who you gonna root for? The Tigers?
Royals, Yankees brings back the 85 series.
I was thinking about that as well. But there's some, dude, we've got just some characters in this game. Obviously, the Yankees got a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Kansas City to me is playing with house money, but they've got some characters. Like Salvador Perez is on his last run. And Salvador Perez had some deep balls in Baltimore that almost got out, but these cold days are kind of keeping them in the ballpark. But that's going to be a series that's going to be a lot of fun.
And you put the batting crown guy, Bobby Witt Jr., up against your home run RBI crown guy. Okay, so you got two of the best American League players.
That triple crown action.
Exactly. Tommy Pham, again, he's on another playoff team. He's on this team
back
that they
in
added.
New York.
But I think the biggest guy that you got going is Pasquantino. This guy with a left-handed power bat in the lineup, he has been murdering people, and he just got back into the lineup right before the season ended. So Vinny Pasquantino, this dude, 19 home runs, 97 runs driven in during the season, 6'4", 245. Listen, you want a guy like that protecting Bobby Witt Jr. These guys get a lot of – remember the Hamster's on this team too.
Hampson.
So Hampson played left. They move him into second base. They're very
utility guy.
Yeah, they're very versatile defensively. When it gets late in the game and you start moving in, matching with the bullpen and stuff like that. So I think they're going to give the Yankees trouble. Obviously, the Yankees are the team that have pressure because they're supposed to win. This is a should-win series for them. But I also thought the Orioles, what they did in the last month, led up to this disaster. They were cold. They weren't playing the way they played in the first 5 months of the season, and the Royals took full advantage of that, even though the Royals had not been hot either. But the Royals, they came in, they did what they needed to do, and I think that sometimes speed and putting the ball in play beats these home run type teams.
So it's not going to be David Peterson. It is not going to be Tyler McGill. It is Mr. Jose Quintana to start for the Mets tonight.
An old, wily lefty that's going to turn the ball over, and they're just going to try to probably get him through the lineup twice.
Okay, you like this. Yeah, we were talking about I don't know about the leash, how long
it's short because you saw Musgrove. Musgrove was short. Fried just didn't have it. You know, that's tough, and everybody's just running on empty in the bullpens. All of these teams have used their bullpens from like the fifth inning on. Yeah. They're not even waiting to the sixth or seventh.
Right.
They're like fourth inning, getting guys up, double barrel. They've got both things in. I was just listening to the game, on the way home, and it's just like, oh my God, every three batters changing pitchers. Royals, every three batters changing batter. I mean, again, you have to manage the last 9 outs. I almost think now, as a manager in the major leagues, you got to be able to manage the last 12 to 15 outs. Like you're starting from the fourth inning, the first 12 outs. Once that's done in the fourth inning, you're not worried about the starter getting a win anymore. This is why Major League Baseball is talking about, in order to they want to move the win category from 5 innings to 6. Where you need to now go through 6 innings to be eligible for a win, because they're trying to push the starters a little bit farther so you don't go into your bullpen so early. That's the game right now.
Yeah.
The game is 7 or 8 in your bullpen coming out in the 4th or 5th inning. I don't have a problem with it because that's the way the game is. When I was playing, it was from the 7th inning on. Going back to the 70s, 80s, or even earlier, man, every starter was going through the lineup 3 times. So the game has evolved to the point now where we have specialists that come in from the 4th inning on.
Let me give you some Jose Quintana last 5 start stats. He is 5-4 in those starts. The loss is at Milwaukee, September 28th. That's last Saturday at Milwaukee. He only made it through 4 1/3. Every other start, he's at least getting 5 innings under his belt. 2 out of the last 3, the Washington, the Philadelphia start.
Yeah, 7
innings. Now, he did have 9 strikeouts in that start against Milwaukee. So he has got a fresh familiarity with this Milwaukee Brewers team.
And here's the leash on him. Of those 4 starts that he made end of September, he only hit 100 pitches on one of those outings. So he gets a lot of when he's dealing. Let's go to the Washington Nationals and the Reds. 14 ground balls, 11 ground balls against the Reds. Not a lot of fly balls.
Not a lot of strikeouts.
Right, and not a lot of strikes. Well, against Philly, he had 9 ground balls, 10 fly balls, and he gave up no runs in that one too. But when he is on, he's changing speed so well. What I'm talking about is he's getting you out on that front foot and getting a ground ball. He's getting you out on the front foot and you're popping up to short outfield. He doesn't give a lot of long balls up. And in all of those starts, he gave up no home runs over those last 4 starts in 25 innings, had a 0.7 ERA. So that's your money guy. And again, you want to go with an older guy that when you're warming up on the road, people are going to be heckling him down in the bullpen and all kinds of crap. Some of these younger guys, maybe they think maybe it would affect them. But listen, this is the start of Quintana's career right here to put his team into the next round.
How about the other starter, Tobias Myers, who is 26 years old? Huge start for him in Game 3, a do-or-die game. He has not gone past 4 innings in his last 3 starts.
He's more of an opener.
That's what I was thinking as well, that they're going to have
listen,
kitchen sink
both
in the
teams,
bullpen.
We would call this the Johnny Holstaff game.
Johnny
Everybody, I don't even care if you started 2 games ago, you're in the bullpen today.
You're hot.
You're hot for 3 batters. I mean, so everybody, because this is the last game of the season for you in your mind. If you lose, you go home. You win, you go on. We'll worry about that when we get to whoever we're playing on Saturday, which is the Phillies for these 2 teams. Which, again, it's like, okay, your reward for winning, you get to go play those guys that are lying in wait right now, getting healthy. Their pitching staff is all lined up for you, ready to go. All right, we're ready for you to bring it to us now. Now you go from, which I do like this, you're going from these teams that have the home field for 3 games, to another, the first 2 games of this next best of 5 are going into the other guy's ballpark again. So it doesn't get any easier for you, and you're rewarded for having the most wins and winning your division.
Exactly.
So
that's why it matters.
That makes the legitimacy of the regular season the way it should be, and the way Bud Selig had taken it away from these teams. Now these teams, you earn the right to sit, get healthy, have home field advantage for the 5-game next round.
I think it also is illustrated this past couple of days, really illustrated how baseball has no clock. And you can be up 5-2, and then all of a sudden 2 runners are on base, and you're shaking in your boots.
Absolutely.
Because one swing could totally change the atmosphere. And I thought the Milwaukee Mets game, Game 2, really illustrated that. As Milwaukee, it felt like, our season's over. What are we going to do? Oh, my gosh, we're down 2 runs here. And a home run, and we're not looking back. Right. And now we're red hot. And now we can't even think about losing. Not going to happen.
Can't think straight.
It's the ebbs and flows of baseball as a sport.
Well, and then
I think was illustrated last 2 days.
The kid who reminds me, before we get to Herm Edwards, I know he's coming up right here, is Churio reminds me of Andrew Jones. You got like a 19 or 20-year-old kid at the top of your order, phenomenal player in the field, and this kid has been great, and he just breathes a breath of fresh air into your lineup. Some of the old timers that are in there that they're hoping that they can go deep into the postseason. I just think it's the game has changed. If you're good enough in Double-A to jump from Double-A to the big leagues, it used to be you'd go A, Double-A, Triple-A. They don't even think about Triple-A. They're just like, let's stick these 20-something-year-olds in the big leagues. They'll make some errors. They'll make some mistakes. It's kind of like a first-year quarterback out of college in the NFL. They're going to make some growing pain mistakes, but they're going to learn enough to where by the 6 months in, we consider them no longer a rookie. The postseason is not going to affect them that much.
By the way, Andrew Jones was at that Mets series on Monday.
Was he?
And following this Braves team real close. Another heartbreak. Another heartbreak baseball fan walking around the nation right now.
Yeah, 8 at-bats in the 2 games so far for Jackson Churio. 2 home runs, 3 driven in.
He's good.
Kid's good. He's fun to watch. All right, we'll take a quick break, come back. Herm Edwards. Herm, during his playing career, he crossed paths with Pete Rose when Pete was on the Philadelphia Phillies. And so we'll get into a little bit of that, but we'll also talk all NFL with Thursday Night Football here on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Kirk Kaplan on the 1s and 2s, and on the YouTube video is Nick Federico today.